Hey, it's your host Dan once again. Today's project is going to be a budget mod for the GTO, and I got a couple parts that showed up and we're going to put them in. First off is this 5-inch short throw shifter stick. It's a little, I believe it's about 1.5 inches shorter than the factory one, so it's going to give you a little bit of a shorter throw. It's not like a true short throw shifter, but it should get it pretty close, I would think. The thread on the end's an M16 by 1.5 inch, which I got that to fit a ball style. This won't fit a factory knob, but they do sell ones like this that will. So this is the one part, just the shaft and the 2 bolts, and then the shifter knob, which I got from Twisted Shifters. No affiliation with them, but they do have a ton of different shift knobs on their website and all sorts of crazy colors and patterns and everything. I'm sure somebody could find one that fits them, but I got this because this is pretty much about the same color as the exterior of the car. So let's go over and take a look at the stock shifter and see how that works before we take it out. So let's take a look at the span here on the stock shifter. If you take a look at the line here that goes across, it's at about 4 1/4 there on the ruler. And if I pull it back to second gear, you can see it goes to about 9 1/4. So the whole entire span itself is about 5 inches from first to second, which is really not that bad, I don't think. I could really live with it. But the shorter stick's going to make that a little shorter, and we'll test that at the end, see what the span distance is. And my shifter too here in this car, this is the factory shifter. Since the car only has 20,000 miles on it, it always springs back into neutral, and whenever it's in a gear, it doesn't really wiggle around and flop around like the cars that have many miles on it. So that's why I'm just doing just the stick instead of replacing the whole shifter, which will save me a whole bunch of money. Next, we need to get the console plate off, so that way we can get the stick in the boot. There's a screw up here in the front of the console, which we need to get out and undo that. It's kind of hidden up underneath, but you can kind of see it if you bend down and look under a little ashtray box or whatever it is. Let's get in there. There we go. It's just the one trim screw up there in the corner. Got to make sure you pull that out, otherwise you're going to break it. So this whole trim has to come off surrounding the shifter, and from here I'm just going to pull up on the back because this just snaps in all the way and then it'll lift off. Okay, so I've got the trim extracted. There's 2 clips in the very back. That's why you pull up here from the rear. There's these 2. There's also 2 here at the rear of the shifter, and at the front of the shifter there's like a longer slot, and there's one over here on the other side. This will kind of fool you into thinking it'll slide back, but these will have to be popped in order to get the panel out. But it's these 6 clips that hold it in, plus that one screw in the back, and it just lifts off. And you unplug the window switch and the traction control switch, which is pretty simple. Just unclipped this boot trim plate and pulled it up over the knob. It's got a little insulator on here on the shaft. I can feel the bolts there in the front, and the white insulator around here, it's just starting to show some signs of it wanting to separate a little bit. It's really not in that bad a shape. Let's go get a socket and take the handle off. Alright, so those wanted to give me a little bit of a knuckle buster, cracking them loose with the ratchet. Set those aside, and you can lift that right off. Just giving everything a dry test fit here real quick, and I can already feel it. It's a lot shorter. Even though these bolts here have lock washers on them, I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on the very ends of where it bolts into the stock here for the stock shifter. There's this little wire tie here on the boot. This is going to have to be cut off. it's not going to fully come off, slide off the top or slide off this way. I've got to get the shifter removed from the shaft. And there are these 4 little tabs, 1, 2, 3, 4 in here. And I'm going to have to either make a tool or find something to unhook those tabs so that way these 2 pieces can separate and I can get the boot off. So since I don't have the exact correct tool, there's 4 tabs around in a circle, and I just use screwdrivers to get the tabs off. And it's pretty much some of these they say are silicone down. This one's coming off a little tough, but it's coming off. It looks like it does have a little bit of silicone. You don't want to twist it, you just want to pull it straight off. And wow, I'm kind of yanking on. There we go. Yeah, there was some kind of silicone on here from the factory to get that to pull off. This is why I can't use the stock knob like I mentioned. It's a little bit different, the mounting scheme for it. But I'm just gonna make sure to put this aside with the bolts in case I go back to stock again. Now I should be able to pop the shifter up and hopefully get that boot off gingerly. There we go. Now we're starting to break loose a little bit. Come on. Just go easy with it. A little at a time. Almost there. Almost there. Past the first hump. There we go. Okay, so she's free. Get the stock knob off. And I'll just put this aside. Okay, so we're going to take another wire tie. Put that on there about as best we can get it. The hole's going to be a little smaller, obviously. Let's see what we can do here. Get it on there about as nice as we can. Make sure this doesn't want to pull through. There we go. That should do it. I'm hoping that's not going to pull through. And then everything should be good. Go ahead and snip that off. And we fold her back. She gonna look sweet. Okay, so let's see how well that wire tie is holding up. It's holding up pretty good. I'm hoping that the material is not going to want to try to unravel and come out backwards on me. But that should be good. Okay. Let's put that back the way it was. Maybe I'll cinch that wire tie just a little more. Good measure. Okay. Next up, let's see here. The bolts. Like I said, I'm just going to do a little bit of blue Loctite on the ends just for extra added measure. Why not? These are 13 millimeter, whereas the factories were 10. Let's go back to the car and put that stick in. Alright, so pull our little insulator dealy guy down. Okay, I got the trim back on for the boot. Everything's lining up nicely. It's going to hold up here at the top with that wire tie. It's definitely a shorter throw, without a doubt. And I'm really liking this. It's pretty cool. My arm too, also off the console, slopes down just a touch, whereas normally it would slope up a little bit with the taller shifter. I think this feels a little more natural. So let's get that console plate back on and wrap this up. So let's see how we did as far as the throw goes. And there we go, we're in neutral. We'll go up there. That's about 4 1/4. We look across the line there. And I'll pull it back to 4th gear. We're right at about 8. Okay, everything all buttoned up. This is definitely a shorter throw, 3 3/4 inches versus the 5 from stock. I think I'm going to like this a lot. Originally I was going to get a pool ball, a number 1 ball, and just replace just the knob. But you know, then I found that little shorty stick, which was, you know, only like 30 bucks I found online, and this is about 30 bucks and I think some change. Total for the two, I spent about $65 versus like $165 or even more for a, you know, race shifter, and many hours of putting it in and jacking the car up and getting that mystery bolt out from underneath. But one reason I didn't get the number 1 ball I got this shifter here is this right here. I thought that was pretty cool from Twisted Shifters. So, and also too, I got to give these guys credit, because the this isn't a universal knob with like adapters and, you know, little set screws and things like that. It has the M16 by 1.5" thread, like I mentioned, and when I put this thing onto that shaft and cranked it on, it almost didn't look like it was going to go, but when I got it on there kind of really tight, it's perfectly aligned straight across. I didn't have to put the jam nut on from underneath, you know, and feel it like, you know, through the boot or wear through the boot. I think this is really awesome. 65 bucks DIY. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching. I'm gonna go bang some gears. Later.